Hello everyone, Namaste. I'm Nikita and today we'll be sketching from life. So this simply means that we are collecting objects easily available at home. We are making our own composition. We are setting up our own lighting and then we'll be sketching as well as painting it. So this project, I've divided it into two parts. This part that you're watching right now is going to be all about sketching, how to make your own composition, the measuring techniques, and then finally the sketching process. In the next video that would be releasing next week is going to be all about watercolors. So let's start with it. While making the composition, I'm preparing a white background and base, and then I'm taking utensils of different textures like steel, ceramic, and then different colors of vegetables like brinjals and tomatoes. So just make a composition that you like and you'll have to start seeing simple shapes and forms in your utensils and vegetables. So you can see cylinders, ovals, ellipses and various organic shapes in your objects. So it makes the information easier for your brain to process. Step 1 in the sketching process is to mark out the basic forms of the utensils and the vegetables. So here you can see that I'm just making a simple cylinder. You can see that I've marked it in the reference picture as well so that you can compare the reference and my sketch as well. My sketch is really light because I am not making it really dark in the first layer because it is possible that I might have to erase it, correct the proportions and all. So the first step has to be super light. This is a very important thing. And then you just have to look at the outer forms like a cylinder, oval shape or a glass shape, an elliptical shape. So you just have to observe all of this and you have to just mark out the outlines while keeping in mind the measurements. Okay, so you can see that I'm measuring it alongside. I'll be telling you a detailed version of how you can measure your drawings as well, how you can measure your objects and how you can compare it in your drawing as well. Now for taking measurements, you can see I'm using my pencil. From the tip of the pencil to my index finger is the width of the steel utensil that I've taken. So I'll take this measurement basically. So this is the width of the idli maker and then I'll compare it with the width of the ceramic bowl. You can see that the width is almost similar. It's just that the idli maker is slightly wider. You just have to compare these measurements in your sketch as well. Now I'm measuring the height of the idli stand, just the bottom part excluding the lid, and I'm comparing with the height of the ceramic bowl. So you can see that it's a little lesser. I'm comparing the same relation in their measurements on my sketch as well. You just have to make sure that these measurements are similar. So here the height of the idli stand and the width of the idli stand is similar. So here you can see that in my sketch also the height versus the width is similar. Here I'm comparing the heights of both the brinjals. The front one is a little taller and the back one is a little shorter. So I'm just making these measurements and comparing it in my sketch. So here you can see I'm comparing the height of the back brinjal with the height of the idli maker. So here these heights are similar. Now while you're taking the measurements from the still life objects, keep your arm completely straight, fixed at a same point, and then the elbow and the wrist joint should be stable. You can drag it to the left or right. You can do it in the vertical or the horizontal area, but the joints should be completely stable and straight. Now do not twist your wrist or fold your elbow like this. It might change the proportions. Okay, so the arm should be straight, fixed onto the same point, no matter if you're taking a vertical or a horizontal measurement. Now here is a little time lapse of the sketching process. This is the step 2 for the sketching part. Here what I'm doing is I'm just refining my sketch. Earlier I had just marked out the simple shapes like the cylinder, the glass shape, the oval shape. Now what I'm doing is I'm detailing it further. So here you can see I'm adding the whistle, the top knob, the handles, the details, the symmetry lines. I'm checking the symmetry again. I'm checking the exact shape of the handle. So here I'm kind of refining the sketch as per what I'm seeing it in front of me. Always divide your sketching process into simple parts, like marking out the shapes and forms first and then going into the details like how I'm doing it right now. So earlier I had just marked out the simple oval shapes. Now I'm making the tomatoes, the stem part of the tomatoes, and I'm making the shadows onto the steel utensil as well. So the steel is a very reflective surface. It kind of reflects the objects that are around it, so you can see that I'm marking the shadows as well as the highlights in every object. So coming to the brinjal, it is more like an ellipse or a giant egg shape, so you have to mark out the stem as well, you have to mark out the highlights, the shadows, all of it. Okay, so I'll share a close-up version of the sketch once I'm done with it, where you can easily see where exactly the highlights and the shadows are. At this stage, you can darken up your outlines a little bit. You can see that I'm going back and forth with my eraser as well. Never shy away from erasing if you are not happy with a particular proportion or a particular shape. If you're making it light enough, then you can easily erase it without spoiling your watercolor paper. Especially when you're using watercolor paper, it becomes very important to sketch lightly. But once you finalize with the shape and the form, once you think you would not be redoing it again, you're happy with the form and the proportion, you can darken the outlines and you can finalize the sketch. As the final step, I'll be adding the cast shadow markings as well. The source of light is located at the right side. So you can see in all the objects I've marked out the highlights on the right side as well. And then the cast shadow is happening on the left side. I've also used artificial lighting in this particular still life, where a spotlight is placed at the right side and I don't have to worry about the sunlight going on and off. So this is it for the sketch. We'll be covering the watercolor part in the next video, which I would be releasing next week. And I'll be linking the part 2 video in the description as soon as I release it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Take care.